If you think it's bad now, you aren't a politician in Utah who's been trying to use culture war garbage to stay in power and make sure that his state loses $100 million. Also, you're not a governor whose last name is Cox.
That every day is a good day when your last name's not Cox.
Every day is a good day when your last name isn't Cox. And then you chase Sundance out, and then Katy Perry shows up with a bunch of billionaires.
She's going into space.
Okay. We're going to cover a lot on this episode. And sometimes I feel like I go a little bit too hard.
No, you could go harder.
I could go harder. This is called Too Many Tabs.
Too many tabs. Remember to smile.
Do you understand the Katy Perry news that's happening right now?
Katy Perry, I know she's doing another album.
She's planning on going up to space with Billionaire's wife.
What?
Yeah, she's going to go on a Blue Origin trip. That's the private space company that's owned by Bezos.
Okay.
She's going up with his wife.
Oh,
that
his
lady.
second wife.
Yeah.
Oh, the one with the big boobs.
Yeah, the one that dresses very strangely.
She had her boobs out at the inauguration.
I know. She dresses very scandalously.
Yeah, there's like a
at
shot
like
of
inappropriate times.
There's a shot of Mark looking.
Yeah, well,
Mark Zuckerberg was up there because it's a crazy shot because it's like there's the line at the inauguration, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like Zuckerberg, Bezos, the Google guy, the TikTok guy, Elon, Bezos' new wife's boobs.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, are there tariffs on those things? Because they're plastic.
Whoa.
But yeah,
also, Gayle King, Oprah's bestie.
Is she going on the same
She's
ride?
going on the same ride with them.
What?
I know, it's such a weird group of people.
Okay.
But yeah, so
This rocket has the chance to change the world. In Minecraft. No,
I'm just saying, I thought the millionaires and billionaires in tubes went underwater.
No, they go up too.
They go up too. Great.
They go up. Listen, much like the stock market, it goes up, but mostly they've been going down.
Mostly going down.
Mostly they've been going down.
Sometimes up though.
Sometimes up.
Sometimes up.
Sometimes up.
But no, so Katy Perry keeps like doing all this press about it, and she's the thing about Katy Perry is, hold on, let me sit down.
Okay.
Let me fucking.
You were
take this.
seated the whole time.
I know, I'm like getting into.
But you're
better
leaning.
position.
You're leaning back.
I'm leaning back.
You're relaxing.
I got opinions about Katy Perry.
Get on your shit. Go ahead.
Number one, she is a pop princess of our generation, right?
Yeah.
But
A recession pop princess.
Yeah, not this time around though. But
No, not this time.
So the thing is like I don't think Katy Perry can view herself through the eyes of the public. Like she doesn't understand how we consume her, what eyes visually, in her ears with her music, and the things that she says. Like she's just so out of touch.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like a lot of pop stars can be out of touch and kooky, and you're like, yeah, it's fine.
Like Gaga.
Yeah.
Gaga's out of touch.
She's out of touch. She's
Yeah.
fucking Lady Gaga. Of course she's out of touch.
No, I know, but
But you're like, oh, it's okay because she's Lady Gaga.
yeah, but the art you get from it is better.
And you have when she speaks, sometimes you're like, at the heart, you can tell she's in
Good
faith.
intentions.
Good intentions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But with Katy Perry, you don't. It's like there's this cringe factor that, and I don't even like saying the word cringe, but like,
Yeah.
she's just has bad vibes, and she comes off as like just so out of touch in the weirdest ways.
I think it's because that nun cursed her with like it was like the thinner curse almost.
Yes.
Where as that nun died, he yelled, "Curse you, Katy Perry, for stealing our
and
land."
Did the nun die or was she murdered slowly by Katy Perry?
Okay, hold on,
Hit the allegedly button.
Allegedly.
All right. I'm
saying.
sorry, my button's behind my laptop.
Yeah, you got to
now.
pull that
I'm
button
gonna bring
closer.
it forward.
I'm back on mic, baby. You better get the button.
You're on your shit this time. I'll hit these buttons.
But so Katy Perry's been doing all this press about this trip she's taking to
Which is
space.
crazy because I haven't seen any of it.
I know.
Where's she doing this press on?
I don't know. I see it on my feed all the time.
I mean, it's talking about
But she's talking about the dumbest shit. She's not talking about exploring the universe or what it means for a man to like, or her to go to space and all this shit. Like, none of that. She's like, I can't wait to get my hair and makeup done because I'm going to look so glamorous in space.
Really? That's what she's saying?
That's what she's saying. She's talking about the hair and makeup.
I think, no, but see, this is like last week when I was screaming about Elon and the fake sci-fi shit. Because I felt the same way. I think I've said this on an old pod before. I feel the same way about Jeff Bezos when it comes to the rocket stuff. Is like there was a while there, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s with like the dot-com boom and bust cycle and all this different stuff. As these dudes went from, millionaires to multimillionaires to billionaires, there's been like a shift. of like they've gotten more caveman-y. This is more my toy. Because like with Bezos, it's like just trying to show off. Like, yeah, I got so much money, I can send people to space. Look at this.
He's sending his wife.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like he like
crazy.
But he like his laugh is stupid and all this shit. But if you go back and you listen to like the statements they were making back when like back when they were still small enough to fail, back when they could still fuck up hard enough to become one of us again.
Yeah.
Because like Jeff Bezos there is no world in which Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, unfortunately, none of these people can ever fuck up bad enough to have to take the bus.
Yeah, no.
It's never going to happen. Like, I know that there's times where we were all like really happy when Elon's stock was going down.
Or like when he spent a bunch of money trying to buy
that election over the week. Yeah, the judge's election and lost. It's like,
yeah,
okay. But I mean, he's still worth more money than we're ever going to know.
Yeah.
Than we could ever spend. That he can ever spend. And all these guys are like that. And it's so, but like once they get to that level, there becomes this like level of like.
Delusion.
No, it's not just delusion. It just becomes like lizard brain, caveman. I'm just like, me, new wife, big boob. I like rocket. Take up. Ha ha. Look, I have Captain Kirk. I took Captain Kirk on rocket. Like that's Bezos now. Jeff Bezos used to be like, oh, and we made sure that the logistics are working here, and we worked on spreadsheets, and we want to make sure that someday the man could go see the stars. Like this is how he used to talk, and now he's like, isn't that great? I own Washington Post. Only op-ed about free market now. Like that's a real thing he did. Yeah. He came in. He said that the op-eds for the Washington Post are only going to be pro-free market and pro-personal choice.
Yeah.
Which reads, I want to be able to do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm not going to pay anyone to be in my newspaper that's going to say anything against me.
Yeah.
And that's what that means.
That's why he bought a newspaper.
Yeah, I know. But he bought it a decade ago when everybody said he's going to do this, and everyone was like, I don't know, he's different. This breed of billionaires a little bit different.
Yeah, they're worse.
Yeah.
Back when we had barons, oil barons, they were more thoughtful.
Well, yeah, because I keep watching that shit about trains.
I know. We keep watching
I keep watching train. Listen,
God.
okay.
We watch a lot of train videos.
All right.
Recently.
Did we go to New York and watch Cabaret? Yes. Did we talk about that on the warm up? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But I've been watching positive train content too.
Yep.
Okay. that if you don't understand what the musical Cabaret is about and you think it's about Chicago, just like the musical Chicago and Flappers, it's going to be a confusing joke for you.
Yeah.
That's why you got to join the Patreon and listen to the warm up.
Watching videos because I always want to watch videos about Banff.
Yeah. The Banff in Canada. But I've also just been like watching, listen, there's been so many planes that have been falling out of the sky.
Yes.
That I've been looking more and more about, like, if I'm going to go someplace, maybe I'll look at the train.
Yeah.
Because also I think
what's Amtrak doing? How you doing, girl?
Yeah, what's up, Amtrak? Yo, you need Amtrak. How them sponsorships looking? You trying to get somebody to talk you up right now? Because listen, I've been watching content creators taking Amtrak across the United States. And I'm telling you, they do not know how to hide your flaws. Okay?
We could hide them for
We
you.
could hide them flaws.
We can make them look
Amtrak,
nice.
Because there was one where they were like talking about going from New York to Chicago and how long it took.
Yeah.
Right? They made a big deal about it. And they were on the sleeper car and all these different things. And it was a little tight. And I didn't like the thing people got to remember is like, yeah, okay, you can get from Philly International to O'Hare in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. But how long is your drive to the airport? How long is that TSA line? Because it's going to get longer. They're just constantly getting longer. And now they want to privatize that. Okay. How long then, once you get to the TSA, then you got to wait there? How long was your delay?
Yeah.
Oh, you landed. How long to get your bags? How long to get the shuttle, to get in the shuttle, to get to the rental car? Yep. How long to get into the shuttle at some of these places? How long to get into the shuttle to ride all the way out to where they allow Ubers to pick up? Unless you use an Uber Black XL at LAX. That made me so fucking mad.
Yeah.
I was furious. I landed when I was doing all that shit last summer when I was touring the country doing stand-up. I got to LAX. I was like, okay, how do I get a lift? Like, you got to get in a bus. I was like, I got to get in a bus to get to the lifts. And they're like, unless you use an Uber Black XL, if you're rich, you can just pull right up right here. I was like,
classic.
And then they're like, and if you yell at an airport, we'll arrest you. I was like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah, no yelling at airports.
No yelling at airports. But all those things, once you add up all of that time and then compare that to getting on, and also the trains usually drop you downtown because back in the day when rich people were taking the train, they wanted the train to drop them off where all the fucking businesses and hotels were.
Yeah.
Where are all of our businesses and hotels? Are they by the airport? No. You know what's by the airport? The saddest strip club you've ever seen in your entire life. And 2 Hiltons.
But they still got a Ruby Tuesdays that hasn't gone out of business.
For some fucking reason.
They got that Ruby Tuesdays salad buffet.
And that calls itself the airport Ruby Tuesdays.
Oh my God.
And
that
is it in
broccoli
the airport?
salad with cheddar? Listen.
Is it in the airport? Absolutely not. It is 2.7 miles away
Yeah.
from the airport. But it is still
another
the
shuttle
airport.
bus.
We're by the airport Shoney's.
Yeah. Foobies.
I'm just saying, you get on. Let me tell you what I like about the train. As a parent, you know what I like about the train? It is long. I like that it's long. I like that it takes time. I like that part of the train is looking outside, looking out a window.
Yep.
Or when you're in a plane, what do you do when you look out? Oh, let me just look out the window. That's too bright. Close it.
Yeah.
I'll be on a plane on a beautiful day, window open, furious.
Yep.
Furious. It's too bright. Just mad.
This also,
90%. Hold on. 90% of me on a plane is just trying to go to sleep.
I know.
So I don't think about the fact that I'm in the sky being with an engine that some human being has been operating.
Yeah. And it did not have any oversight.
It
But we're going to get you some of that sweet lorazepam for
Give me
next
some.
time you fly.
Give me some lorazepam.
No, what you were saying is that the wealthy used to build beautiful hotels and stuff,
And
so that there were
destinations.
The Rockefellers, Carnegie, they used to build.
Well, because they
things.
had the trains, and they were like,
Yeah.
we need people to have another reason to go on the trains. When we were
Yeah.
looking at Canada specifically, Canadian Rail.
Not to run away. It was actually just a vacation.
It was just a vacation. Because there's some beautiful places up there. The Canadian Rail had, and they still actually own it now through like Fairmont Hotels and others. They had these giant chalets.
Beautiful.
And these beautiful, they're like
Google
castles.
it, Banff.
Banff, Banff.
Google
Banff.
it. It's incredible.
All right, it's like the Chateau Marmont or some shit.
No, it's way better than that.
No, not Chateau Marmont. It was Chateau something. But anyway, it doesn't matter. These beautiful fucking hotels, and we're looking at them, and they look like the hotel from The Shining.
Yes.
It's like those level hotels.
Yeah.
Where this is where like rich people, but like you and like you didn't have to be that rich back in the day
No.
to like go to these places. And now it's like everything is like, it's actually a DoubleTree, but it's part of the Hilton network. I'm like, fuck.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we used to have balconies, but we closed them for safety reasons.
Blah, blah, blah.
What's your amenities look like? Well,
Listen, if you don't have amenities, I'm not going.
yeah. I mean, we went up to New York. We did. We went up to New York. We saw a play. We talked about it a
Cabaret.
lot more. We saw Cabaret.
Yeah.
For our anniversary / birthday stuff. It was a good time. The last day of the good economy.
We didn't have any amenities.
There was no amenities in the place.
I didn't really care about amenities because I knew
No,
I
I
was
know,
about
but
to
I'm
get
saying it's like when you go
wrecked on food up there.
when you go gluten, you went gluten free.
I went. Listen, there is.
If any, actually, we went gluten paid.
Yeah.
The way
it
I
was
fucking
not
the way I
free.
look at that bill.
It was not free.
But anyway, I'm saying though, it's like some of these places. I've been watching these train people, these travel people.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you know this, America. When it comes to trains, the rest of the world's running a train on us. I want you to know that.
Yeah.
Right now.
They have beautiful fast trains.
Did you know they got first class lobbies in other train stations? I've been to Joseph Robinette Biden train station in Wilmington, Delaware. It does not have a first class lobby.
No.
It has a vestigial shoe shine station. It does, and it's got a bathroom you don't want to poop in.
No.
And then it has benches. That's it. In America, our train stations are glorified bus depots. And our bus depots are the side of the road now. We don't even have bus depots.
Yeah, we used to have bus depots.
We used to be a proper country.
Yeah.
And what happened? Our
Henry
billionaires?
Ford decided to try to kill all the infrastructure that wasn't about cars.
Yeah, and GM came
And
into
then
it too.
GM, and then all auto dealers and automakers really started funding
All
the
the Republican
destruction
Party, yeah.
of everything. So yeah, like good times. Anyway,
Yeah.
Katy Perry's going to space is where this
Oh,
started.
that's right.
This is
This is,
where
you know what? This is reverse. This is reverse apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
We started at Katy Perry, and by the end, we're like, used car dealerships are the ones who are funding all the worst MAGA candidates.
Yeah.
That's true, by the way. If we had direct sales for cars in this country, and we got rid of MLMs, you would be shocked of how destroyed the Republican Party would be.
They need the MLMs, baby.
Oh my God.
They need them.
You know who needs the MLMs?
Utah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just old millennials living through our, how many was this, ninth?
I don't know.
Ninth financial crisis.
Who's keeping count anymore?
Me. I'm keeping count.
No, I'm not.
I think that's part. Can I tell you what's nice about this one versus 2008?
What's that?
This time, when I watched the stock market crash, my boss didn't immediately call me into his office and fire me.
Oh, that's nice.
This time I was sitting here at home.
In the 2008 crash, I was working at a bowling alley. So,
Yeah.
ebb and flow of life.
You know what? Bowling alley, recession proof.
Bowling alley.
Except for all those bowling alleys that went under.
Yeah, the one I worked at was apparently recession proof.
Yeah, the one you worked
at.
at.
You know what it was? Short skirts and boobies.
That's guys.
I just said this last episode. Boobies.
Okay. No, but listen. But here's the problem, though. It's not as recession proof now because they got the AI girlfriends.
Oh, not the AI girlfriends replacing the short skirts.
Well,
and
I'm
the
just
boobies.
saying, why would I go bowling? All right, why would? Okay, I've if I have a Nintendo Wii at home, okay,
Yeah.
and I have an AI girlfriend on my phone,
Yeah.
okay, why leave?
Isn't this that movie? There's like a movie like
Her.
that. Yeah.
He doesn't go Wii bowling with her though. It's just Scarlett Johansson talking on FaceTime.
That sounds really weird.
Yeah, I know, but it was made like 5 or 10 years before the AI people. But there's people who are like, they're like, oh, I have an AI girlfriend. Ask me about her. No.
Oh God, no.
No.
That's the most deeply uncomfortable conversation I've ever thought to have with a stranger.
It's just a stranger. There's a few of them. There's like,
I was in an elevator and a man said, I have an AI girlfriend, ask me about her, I would pull out my knife for the rest of the elevator ride.
You would just be standing.
Holding it up.
You mean up? I would have it out. I'd
No, it would be in my hand. Just like, what did you just fucking say to me?
How would you hold it? Would you hold it blade down so you could do a slash cut? Or would you hold it blade up?
Blade down so that you can hit in the downward axe motion and you don't have to worry about cutting yourself.
I think an upward cut.
Yeah.
I think an upward cut. I would just to be real, I would hold it, point it out, so if he comes,
see, that's
like stick him with a pin.
That's not.
That's how old ladies in wrestling back in the day.
Yeah.
Old ladies would take their hat pins and they would stick the wrestlers they don't like.
That's not from wrestling. That's from real life. Women used to use hat pins to stab people.
I know, but I'm saying, but they used to also. I know about it through pro wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Because all of these old pro wrestlers would talk about when they knew they were being a good heel.
Yeah.
When they were a good bad guy. They would be walking down the entrance ramp, right?
Yeah.
And these old ladies would be like, oh, I don't like him. I don't like that Razor Ramon. And they would pull their hat pin out.
Yeah.
Because also they could have hat pins.
Absolutely.
Because there wasn't security.
Yeah.
They just let people in.
Well, you can.
And they would just walk up. And it wasn't even, they didn't even have guardrails. They just had a rope. And they would just walk up to the rope. And as you come by, hey, come here. Oh, I like you, Sonny Jim. Stab.
Yeah, got
stab,
it.
Stab, 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 stab.
Well, now you can 3D print a hat pin. That way you can get through security. Don't listen to me. That's
don't.
just allegedly.
Hey,
that's
whoa,
a joke.
whoa.
That was a joke. This is a comedy podcast.
It's a comedy history podcast sometimes. We're going to get back to the history on that. But no, but we, there's just so much. There's just so much going on.
What?
There's been a lot of changes.
Like what?
Well, I mean, we've had some changes to our podcast, but the other day you were trying to tell me something about Sundance. There were changes to Sundance.
Oh, yeah, Sundance left Utah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so Sundance, the film festival.
The film festival Sundance.
Which takes place in Utah. It has for 40 years.
I always thought it was in Colorado.
No, but it's going in Colorado.
I thought it was in Aspen, Colorado.
No, Sundance is Utah. And here's what happened. So they've been there for a long time. It's been like their whole personality. Sundance is Utah, right? And like I said, 40 years. Well, the governor, right? It was the governor made a tweet, of course. He was on the Twitter. And he was
we gotta take Twitter away from politicians.
And he was like, "Oh, Sundance promotes alternative lifestyles."
Oh, we're going back to that term?
Yeah.
Alternative lifestyles?
And it's like, oh, Sundance doesn't fit in Utah anymore. And this is because I guess the people that run Sundance came out against they passed legislation that said that you can't fly the LGBTQ flag anymore at schools or government buildings across the state. And so the Sundance people were like, hey, this does not align with our values.
Yeah.
Like, not cool. And
I just think of like how many like gay movies and like just all these other different things of like these movies, like these extremely liberal movies.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked this in Utah because I always see these movies and be like, and it won this award at the Sundance Film Festival. And you're like, well, what is it called? It's like my dick suck.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa, that's gonna have to get bleeped.
Well.
So then all this stuff is happening. Everybody's talking about how Sundance might leave if this type of legislation starts passing.
Yeah.
Ba 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 ba. And then so Sundance is like openly talking about this, but also they've been saying like it's not because of politics. It's definitely not because of politics.
Not because of politics.
We're definitely just looking at other locations for other reasons, right? But the guy, Senator Dan McKay, he posted on Twitter, and he wrote, I'm going to read this as a quote.
Okay.
He said, "Bye, Felicia." This is an old white guy from Utah, by the way. "Bye, Felicia. Sundance promotes porn. Sundance promotes alternative lifestyles. Sundance promotes anti-IDS themes. Sundance does not fit in Utah anymore."
The fuck is IDS?
That's the church, right? LDS. My
Oh,
bad.
LDS.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I read it wrong. So yeah, it's like these. He went out on Twitter and was like
So
screaming about it.
So some guy, is he a senator or is he a state
Senator.
senator? Is he a state senator or is he a regular senator? I know they got Mike Lee out there.
The
in
other guy
Utah.
is Cox, I thought. Something
No.
Cox.
They have Mike Lee because his actual Twitter handle is based Mike Lee.
Based Mike Lee.
Yeah, that's what I love from a senator. I'm based. That's the one who recently said we need to be coal rolling more because we need to get the greenhouse gases up to make Greenland green again.
That's smart.
Even though Greenland's never been green.
Never been green. His name's Spencer Cox. I was right. It's a Cox guy. The Spencer Cox is the governor of Utah.
Yeah, he's the governor.
Yeah. So there was a senator, and then the governor also.
What's the senator's name again?
Oh, hold on. It's Daniel McKay, MCCAY.
Let me see.
So
all right, so he is the Utah. He's their actual federal senator. I'm just asking because like sometimes it's not you. Mm-hmm. I see senator get thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, yeah, but he's a state senator. Because like a lot of legislators in the United States, they have bicameral houses. That means they have two houses. They have a state representative and they have a state senator. And I'm not poo-pooing a state senator. Depending on where you are, they get paid a pretty penny and they might actually have some outsized influence. Mm-hmm. However, there's a federal senator. And then you got state senators. Like I think about here in Pennsylvania, right? We have two bag of shit senators.
Yeah,
we have Fetterman.
Fucking boo.
Boo. Boo. John Fetterman. And then we also have that other one, Dave McCormick.
Doesn't even go here.
Doesn't even go here.
He's not even a fucking resident.
He lives in Connecticut. Anyway.
Oh my God.
But they're just like bags of shit. But they're one of the 100 that are important. So when you have a guy like Cory Booker who stands up and is like, I'm going to talk for a while. Like, that's who he's holding up with all his yapping. Mm-hmm. Okay? When you get a state senator, I don't know what you do. And honestly, state senators and state reps, that's where you get the crazy shit.
Yeah.
That's where they test all the crazy stuff because they got like 300 of these fuckers running around every state capital. And they're all tweeting and they're all saying. And the thing is like their constituency, the actual amount of people that are supposed to hold them in check is very small.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to face 500,000 people when they go to go to Congress. They're facing like 25,000.
Yeah.
And out of them, 6,000 vote.
And how many show up?
Yeah, exactly. And out of those 6,000 that vote, well, it was actually an off-year special election, blah, blah, blah. Check down the mark. You're like, this guy got the job with 800 votes. It was 800 people decided this guy.
Fuck those people.
One large public high school senior class.
Yeah.
Is what decided that this man's tweets matter all of a sudden?
So listen, Sundance decides they're leaving Utah.
Okay.
And the one thing I wanted to pull up is the numbers because I guess what all these Republican legislatures, because a lot of people came out against Sundance, right? Because they're like, we don't want to fund these
DEI.
These DEI liberal politics.
DEI movies are coming in here.
So there is a certain amount of money that gets invested by the state that gets put towards running Sundance, right?
Yeah.
They have to put it towards.
Because they need extra police. They need to make sure the infrastructure is good. There's probably some grants for some of the local theaters.
Yep.
There's probably grants for restaurants. There's probably tax incentives because people are coming in. You have to think of all the landlords and all the rentals that are happening. They got the Airbnbs, but also it's generating a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there was this fight over whether or not they were going to pass. It was for a couple million, maybe $3 million to fund this. And so they're like, we don't want this to fund this lifestyle and these lib values, basically is what they're saying online all the time. And they're all screaming in the wind about it, right? So Sundance is like, okay, fine. Again, so Sundance the whole time is like not political. We're just looking at our options, right?
Yeah,
they're playing it really chill. Now, I did want to state this information. Last year, the festival itself generated $132 million for the state of Utah. More than 1,700 jobs and nearly $70 million in Utah wages. and about $14 million in state and local tax revenue. So this investment is not that big compared to how much they get back.
Yeah. So how much was the investment?
I feel like it was $3 million. I need to check, or it might be 30. It's not something I wrote down in my little notes here.
Okay.
I just knew that they were arguing over.
But they're getting multiples back when it comes
Yeah.
to both jobs and taxes and all those different things.
Yeah.
But also you have to think that's also prestige for that town it's in Utah, right?
I think it's in Salt Lake City.
Is it in Salt Lake?
I think it might be. I don't know.
We gotta find that out. I feel like let's see where is
Yeah, as part of the bid to keep Sundance in Utah, much of the festival would have been moved to Salt Lake City, while keeping a smaller number in events in Park City. So I guess it was originally in Park City.
Oh, here we go. I'm seeing it now. They got Park City. They got the Sundance Mountain Resort.
Yep.
There's a bunch of different stuff here. So yeah, I mean, like if you have, and then it's moved to Park City. I guess they go back and forth on this a couple times.
Yeah.
Of where it's been moved around. So I mean, on the Wikipedia, it says location is Park City, Utah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I know that this is like a skiing location and a bunch of other stuff. I'm sure they have other things to go, but like this is also another one of those side things. Yeah, it's just east of Salt Lake City.
Yeah. So after the announcement that they were going to leave, I think the announcement came right after the announcement that the state had banned the gay pride flag being flown. The Sundance people announced that they were going to be moving to Colorado, like final decision. So then,
are we allowed to ban Mormon symbolism?
Not in Utah, I don't think. So
I'm just saying it's an alternative lifestyle.
It's an alternative lifestyle.
Mormonism is an alternative lifestyle to traditional Christianity. It's non-traditional Christianity.
That's true.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, like I'm just throwing it out there that the Mormon lifestyle is non-traditional Christianity. I mean, if you want to be a good traditional Christian, you would believe that Jesus Christ died in the Middle East and not somewhere in America. If you want to be a traditional Christian, you wouldn't believe that Jesus Christ and the devil were brothers in prehistory before they turned everybody's souls into a big soul war that happened. If you're a traditional Christian, you don't believe that when you die, you get given a planet. I'm just throwing these things out there. These are some of the alternative lifestyle beliefs of the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you didn't want to promote your alternative lifestyle, you wouldn't have your local university named after such a prolific polygamist. I mean, Brigham Young, he had Brigham Young. Brigham Young.
Whoa.
He had how many wives?
I don't know.
He had a lot. I think it was in the 30s.
Listen.
He had 30 plus wives.
That's too many wives.
It's too many wives. That's a lot of sister wives.
I don't.
Okay.
That sounds exhausting.
It does sound exhausting.
I don't want to get anywhere.
And
Anyway.
I'm just pointing out there. If you're gonna sit here and don't throw stones in glass temples, Mormons. Like, you guys want to get out here and you want to be screaming about tradition, we'll remind the Southern Baptists of what y'all believe in. You all want to talk about what type of underwear people are wearing with your magic underwears. You want to talk about who should be on what swim team when you're out here baptizing dead people. I don't bring it up all the time, Mormons. I don't. Y'all start dipping a toe and what people believe and what's traditional and what's a good value, and you start doing these things, listen, at the end of the day, y'all are aligned with a lot of crazy forces right there when it deals with the evangelical movement, Mormons. But you also are part of a movement of people who believed that we were already in the end times, hence the reason you were Latter-day Saints. You thought it was already the end time. It's been a while. It's been 150 years y'all running around here screaming it's the end times. And on top of that, your boy Mitt, remember Mitt? Mitt was supposed to be on the white horse saving America. I'm just saying, Mormons, don't be dipping too much of your toes in the culture war when we need y'all. Because listen, we need some of y'all, your specialty Mormons, who have infiltrated so many layers of our federal government. We need y'all to be a little bit of a deep state right now, okay? Yeah. I don't know if some of you Mormons have looked around at some of the numbers, all right? Have you looked at your Coca-Cola stock recently? Remember, Mormons, you used to be against Coca-Cola, and they left you a bunch of that stock. You used to be against it.
Yeah, not
caffeine
allowed
and soda.
Caffeine, but then suddenly you got some stock options.
They got some stock options got left to the elders.
God said you can have it.
And suddenly the prophets heard a voice. Oh, look at that. We're going to start drinking Coca-Cola. Look at that Coca-Cola stock today. I'm not done yelling at the Mormons.
Oh, well, I'm not even done my story about the Mormons.
Oh, that's true.
Because there's a funny little ending here.
Okay.
So they leave, right? Sundance is like, we're leaving. Bye. So then the governor releases a statement on Twitter, of course. And it says, I brought the statement. Because again, remember, they have been yelling that they don't even want Sundance here. Get out. We don't want to invest in you. We don't want your lib politics with all your LGBTQ.
And I just want to point out his name is Governor Cox.
Governor Cox.
Governor Cox of Utah.
Has been screaming that they don't even want them here.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And all the other people that are, Republican legislators have been like talking mad shit about Sundance. So Sundance is like, we're leaving. Bye. We're going to Colorado. And Governor Cox said, while we're disappointed by Sundance's decision to leave Utah, we wish them continued success in their next chapter. For more than 40 years, Utah has supported the Sundance Film Festival to become a global force in film, art, and culture. As I've said from the beginning, we wanted Sundance to stay. We made that clear to their leadership and put together a highly competitive package. Ultimately, this decision is theirs to make, but I believe it's a mistake, and that one day they'll realize they left behind not just a place, but their heritage. In the meantime, we'll keep doing what we've always done, supporting filmmakers and building a world-class film economy right here in Utah. We've already begun meeting with partners, stakeholders, and creative forces to create a new festival, one that honors our legacy and writes the next chapter of an independent film in Utah.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be Kevin Sorbo movies.
Yeah, it's Kevin Sorbo movies.
That's gonna be Mythica 7.
Yep.
That's gonna be Mythica 7. You know when you're scrolling on Amazon Prime and you see a movie that doesn't make, or Tubi.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did this get made?
Yeah.
It's gonna be through Utah Mormon dentist tax dollars.
Yeah.
Because they also banned fluoride.
Yeah.
So they banned fluoride.
Got weak teeth.
They're gonna
and they're drinking Coca-Cola with their weak teeth.
Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Listen. The Mormons are messing up, man.
They're not making good decisions.
They're not
right
making
now,
good decisions, and like I do feel bad for the local businesses who are gonna lose out.
So much money,
but also because it was also a tourism driver that showed other people from around the world of how beautiful Utah is.
Yeah,
I've never been,
but
I've never been.
We
Have
were
you been to
gonna
Utah?
go.
Have you been to Utah?
I was in Utah once. It was kind of a bummer. It's a dry town.
Yeah, okay. And you weren't dry back then.
Nope.
Yeah, I get that. I've never been because there's one time I drove across the country.
Actually, funny story. You need a sponsor to drink in Utah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still true.
It might not be true anymore, but
at
back
the time.
then it was.
Yeah, because they have private clubs.
Exactly. You
to
had to
get
have somebody
alcohol,
to
because the Mormons are anti-alcohol.
Yep.
But so to get alcohol, you have to be a member of a private club, meaning you have to have a sponsor to say, I know that person. And then you have to pay like a nominal fee to be able to get into. They're basically like legal speakeasies that have like this really weird licensing.
Yeah.
But when I drove across the country, I wrote like different slogans for like different states as I drove through it.
Okay.
And we never even got to Utah. And everyone's like, why aren't you going to go to Utah? Because I was like, everything I like there is illegal. Like everyone I know who's ever been to Utah or driven through Utah had been pulled over, had their car searched, been screamed at, and been informed that they were being watched and like all this other different shit.
Yeah.
And I like, but then again, back then it was because all my friends were like crazy hippies who had like painted their car.
Yeah.
I'm like, you basically, if you paint your car with acrylic swirls,
yeah,
you're asking to be pulled over.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, it's like a throwback 60s VW
Oh,
bus.
I forgot. There was this other tweet that I thought was so crazy. I don't remember if it was Governor Cox or the other guy, the senator. One of them tweeted that he didn't think that they should invest the money into Sundance when they should. He said, I'd rather like have a raffle and just give away that money to a local Utah Mormon family or something.
Yeah, but see, that's Doge Dividend shit.
Yeah.
They're all liars when it comes to this because this is exactly what we've been dealing with nationwide.
Yeah.
This is the exact shit we've been dealing with across the entire country because their big claim constantly is that they're going to cut this stuff and then that money is going to come back to us. They're going to give it to families. It's going to go back to Americans. You heard them during the campaign the entire time. Why are we helping these people around the world? We have veterans here.
Yeah.
And then they cut those same programs. I mean, one big cut that just happened that nobody's really talking about is there is a program that you know very well called Lie Heap.
Yep.
And that program, LIHEAP, is used for energy assistance for people across America.
Yeah.
And this is, now we say energy assistance. In reality, when we're thinking about in Pennsylvania or Utah or the upper Midwest, like Wisconsin.
It's usually heat.
You're thinking about oil heating, especially help, or electric heating, or just with the bills. When you think about Arizona, Texas, Florida, you're talking about air conditioning. Because of extreme weather conditions in this country, we have areas where it is unlivable for a certain amount of days if you do not have air conditioning or if you do not have heat. You can die, or you can have issues happen to your home. If it's below freezing for long enough and you do not have heat in your home, your pipes can freeze and then burst. Yep. Now your home becomes unlivable. If you cannot afford heat in some areas, then your lease is immediately invalidated because you have to be able to afford heat to be able to keep your heat under your landlord's agreement. And so the federal government and local states have had this thing called LIHEAP.
It stands for Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program.
Yep.
It's a grant program.
Yeah, LIHEAP.
And real quick, the thing that makes it different than other types of programs is that because it's a grant program, the grant, in quotes, grant money goes directly to the utility company.
Yeah.
So when I would help people fill out applications for it, it was like, we're going to help you get a LIHEAP grant. And let's say a senior citizen that was lower income would receive like $300.
Yeah.
That $300 would be sent directly to their provider of heat. So whether they have electric heat, gas heat, oil heat, whatever, it'd go to PECO or PGW. So that money goes into their account, and then they don't even touch it. They don't get the money.
Yeah, no. When you say account, you're talking about their heat bill account.
Yeah, the money goes
not
to the heat
their
bill.
bank.
No.
They never see the money.
The money goes right to the utility company.
It's basically, as far as the old person's concerned, it's a discount already. So when most of these people are still paying a bill.
Yeah, it's just discounted.
It's just we're helping them out with a certain percentage of it because a lot of them are on fixed income, especially for seniors, for Social Security, or people that have children or things like that who aren't, maybe they're working for a corporation like Walmart and they're not being paid enough. So Walmart goes and hires nonprofits to make sure that these people know how to fill out to request for these grants. There's all these different things that are set up. This program, just so you know, 3 days ago, as of this recording, on April 1st, on April Fool's Day, Doge, remember Doge? Remember Elon?
Yep.
Remember those fuckers? They came in and they fired every single person who helps distribute the money for LIHEAP to the states to be able to then be distributed down to the individual service providers. That Doge direction was handed to guess who? Because Elon's not the one who hit the fire button. Elon and his people sent an email to a series of people to go down this thing. LIHEAP was under Health and Human Services. RFK Jr. is the one who did this. Remember that? Remember Make America Healthy Again? How the fuck are you supposed to be healthy if you're freezing? How the fuck are you supposed to be healthy if your pipes are exploding? How the fuck are you supposed to be healthy if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, it's 117 degrees outside? You fucking broken throat demon. Oh no, we're gonna make sure that there's no seed oils. How the fuck are they supposed to have healthy food and fresh vegetables if their electricity is shut the fuck off because they never made enough fucking money? And now everything else is going through the fucking roof. At the same time, Donnie's over here throwing in fucking tariffs to raise money on fucking everything. So now these people are going to have to pay more for everything. And at the same exact time, these same people are also going to not have enough money to cover their bills and now get evicted. Now, hey, maybe that'll handle the housing crisis, right? Maybe that'll bring down home prices. Fuckers.
Yeah.
I hate these Maha bitches. Every single one of them. Every single one of you fucking t-shirt selling grifters. I've seen you across there. I've seen you idiots partner with fucking InfoWars. I've seen you all run around trying to sell ivermectin to fucking people and all your other bullshit. I've seen each and every one of you. And who are you getting platformed by? The same assholes I fucking screamed at last week. There are programs that did so much good in this country for so long. We're talking about 40, 50 years that did such a good job that most of us don't even know they fucking existed. And unless you were like Mrs. P and you worked on a nonprofit to help people with this, or unless you had a specific family member who needed to reach out for this assistance, you don't know that they're gone. And you know where you're going to spend the next fucking 10, 15 years? We should have a program to help old people.
Oh my God.
With their heat. You know, where old people keep losing their homes. You're going to be saying that shit about Social Security soon. You're going to be saying that shit about Medicare and Medicaid soon. You know why? Dr. Oz just got put in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. Dr. fucking Oz. The puppy killer. He killed dogs. He was a fucking puppy killer. That was his job, was injecting dogs with fucking medicine. Huh? You crunchy hippie fucks. Sitting out there, we need to rub crystals and the vaccines are hurting the babies. He's a dog killer. Where you at, you Britas? You can excuse racism. They're killing dogs. How many members of this fucking administration have we found out have killed dogs, hurt women? All this shit.
I think it's all of them.
Anyway. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You're right. Because it's, you know what, when we saw the post, when we got the notification that Lie Heap is basically just had its ankles torn out from under it.
Yeah.
Because the money can't be distributed if there's no employees.
They're going to steal the money. They're going to steal the money.
They're definitely
it's like $300 million just sitting around. They're going to put it towards something else.
They're going to do something dumb with it. But the thing that I always see on the internet from the MAGAs and the MAHAs and the conservatives and the Republicans is like, we don't want our tax money to be used on these. I don't have tax money on this. And my whole thought has always been, what do you want your tax money to go to? Because they're never talking about, infrastructure and fixing bridges. And they always scream they want to help veterans, but the VA just got fucking defunded.
Yeah.
Everything about the VA is crumbling, but they've been screaming about how we can't help people because we need to keep for our veterans.
We need to help on our own first.
And so it's like, this is a program that keeps people's heat on in the winter and air conditioning on in the summer in places where there's really hot climates. This is such an important program. And like, as someone who pays taxes, as someone who pays a lot of taxes, right? I've paid taxes my whole fucking life. Even when I could have qualified for SNAP benefits myself, I had to pay a lot of taxes, right? I want my money to go to a program like Lie Heap. I don't want my money to go to the military industrial complex. I don't want my money to go to fucking paying for Elon Musk to get tax write-offs. Why can't my money go to Lie Heap to help seniors?
The biggest thing I've always said, if you want to really fucking nail it down on these fucking MAGA idiots when it comes to taxes, which is what the federal government should do, which is at the end of every fucking tax season, after you pay your tax bill, you should be sent a receipt that says, with the percentages broken down for you yourself, oh, I paid however much in taxes this year. Okay, well, this much went to your Social Security fund. I know you think you're not getting that money back, but that money is coming back to you eventually through Social Security. This much went to your Medicare, Medicaid insurance. This much went to Cobra, all these different things, right? And then when you get down to we're talking to USAID, for some of these fucking people, it's like you spent maybe even a nickel.
Maybe a nickel.
For a bunch of y'all, you got a bunch of money back. Some of y'all are actually net negative. In fact, you're the one getting the money. Now, and I know some of these people are so fucking stupid that they can't understand what a negative is. You know how I know that? Because I used to work in a bank call center, and I had to listen to those conversations. I used to sit next to this lady named Shonda. Babe, let me tell you something. When paychecks would roll in, especially around Social Security time, we had a lot of older clients, and I'll never forget, Shonda was behind me. And you know how when you got a clock going?
Yeah.
This clock going, and around like quarter after and quarter till, it always weirdly, there's like a lull.
Yeah.
There's that weird little thing. And so if you're talking, it's a really loud room, you're having another conversation, blah, 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 and that's how my penis, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And like the whole room's gotten quiet now, everybody heard you. That's what happened with Shonda's call. We're all yapping, we're all on the phone. It's like 2:15 in the afternoon, and everybody's phone just happened to end their call.
Yeah.
We just had a low call volume. But Shonda's on the line, and it was right after payday. And this guy is called. And he was pissed because he was supposed to get, I don't know, $400 in his check. But when he opened his account, he only had $350.
Okay.
Because his account was negative.
So he had a late fee.
So he had late fees and all this other different stuff. But in reality, his account had actually already run negative because of some other things he had that were pending.
Yeah.
So he actually hadn't gotten hit by any charges, all this different stuff. He's like, technically speaking though, because this check came at the same exact time, the money was already spent.
Yeah.
And she's explaining to him. She goes, well, sir, you had a negative balance in your account. That's the reason why you don't have the full 400.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't understand. And she goes, what don't you understand? You owed $50.
Yeah.
So when 400 came in, you have $350. And he goes, I don't understand why I owed $50. She goes, because you ran your account negative. He goes, I don't know what negative means. She goes, And we all heard Sandra say the following. She goes, "Sir, you not understanding negative is between you and your 4th grade teacher. I have nothing to do with this." And then she hung up the call. And I think about that all the time because there's so many of these fucking people who do not, they definitely wouldn't understand a double negative. So if we gave them a tax receipt at the end of the year,
Yep.
especially on some of these places like Mississippi, if we gave all of Mississippi a tax receipt and explained to them how much they got fucking back, or Florida or some of these other states, because a lot of states in the Northeast and on the West Coast and a lot of these blue states are subsidizing these red states who are then turning around and are trying to fucking harm the blue states and the blue regions. So you have these areas that are being actively attacked, and it's like, okay, well, if we show you the bill of where the money's actually being driven through, maybe you guys would understand. But I know for a fact they wouldn't, because some of these guys in these counties and in these states would look at it and be like, well, why do I have a negative bill? No, that means you're getting paid. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And now we're back through it, and Linda McMahon of WWE is the one running our fucking education department now, so it's not like math is going to math anytime soon.
Well, you need, okay. Listen, yeah. It doesn't make you feel good. Wait, didn't one of the states actually just stop having property tax? Was that like Missouri?
Mississippi got rid of income tax.
Crazy.
No, they got rid of income tax.
Yeah.
Mississippi got rid of income tax, but the thing is like nobody there really has income.
Yeah.
I mean, like Mississippi is one of the states where they make a big deal that those were one of those red states where like we're too many people are on welfare, but they actually were paying Brett Favre welfare money.
Yeah, I remember that story. That's
crazy.
It was
Brett Favre and I think Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, again from WWE.
Perfect.
It's weird how these wrestling grifters just fucking sprinkle around. It's almost as if that they're all carnies. One thing that caught me off guard when I was in New York was you went, oh, look at this vintage store. And then you turn and walked in.
Oh, I was dying laughing because it said vintage shop 90s and 2000s.
I was losing it. I walked in, and it definitely was the 90s. It was the late 90s.
Yeah.
Not early 90s. It was late 90s. And
early aughts. But I even saw a shirt in there from 2019. Yeah.
I took a picture of it because it was it's the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah.
Like remembrance shirt. I think when Fast 6 or something was coming out, it was like from this date to this on 2019. I was like, what the fuck?
There was a pair of pants in there that I absolutely owned in high school.
Yeah. But I got really, really mad because I'm like, yeah, I get that I'm old. I get that I'm old.
Yeah.
But calling this shit vintage just broke my brain.
Yeah.
And but also as part of it was like looking around, there was nostalgia. Like it's weird when there's nostalgia for stuff that wasn't great when you lived through it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, it's also like, I guess in that store specifically, the nostalgia is through a perspective of someone who wasn't there.
Yeah.
So like these younger kids that were in there shopping are having nostalgia for the late 90s and early aughts, and like they didn't live through it. So like they have this whole different idea. But when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I remember buying those pants at Guacamole on South Street and then riding the bus home, and like I had like glitter eyeshadow that we all used to wear, but it was so sticky because it was poorly made.
Yeah.
And so my eyes were always like stuck together because I had this like, it was basically glitter glue on my eyes for 2 years.
Well, then I'm looking and all the t-shirts were black, and that and instantly I was like losing, because I also walked up and like touched them, and I'm like, well, they feel like shit.
Yeah.
Because 90s shirts were a different quality.
Yeah.
And also the screen printing on them, they're all flaky and stuff like that, which like this is like slowly getting more and more distressed because that's just how they're screen printed. But like the quality, they don't breathe the same.
No.
But also I just kept looking. I was like, there's no color.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that drove me crazy, because I used to be very much, I was like, I wasn't a goth kid. I was kind of more like a metal pro wrestling kid.
Yeah.
And so like from 8th grade on, like all of my t-shirts, I had black t-shirts. Everything was a black graphic tee. But I also had a Dalmatian. And those things don't go together. Those things don't go together because Dalmatians shed, and when they shed, they have this white fur with a tiny hook on it. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting there thinking I was so cool in my Austin 316 shirt, and I was covered in white hairs. Yeah. I would just look like this dirty kid. I just constantly looked dirty, and I was just staring at all this different stuff. And then like when I met you, there was a day I met you, I was like, things are going pretty good. I was happier. Obama was president. It seemed like we had turned a corner.
Oh yeah,
I was like, things are doing pretty good.
we're on the upswing.
And I was like, I realized, I was like, I gotta stop wearing so many black t-shirts because it also washes me out. It makes me look even paler.
Yeah.
And then you were like, you look good. Yeah, it was like, I had like a yellow shirt one day. You're like, you look good in yellow.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I only want to get yellow shirts.
Yeah.
There was a while where I wouldn't wear green because I thought it made me look too much like a leprechaun. I'm wearing a green shirt right now, but I was like, that makes you look too Irish. I wouldn't wear red because I thought that made me look crazy.
Yep.
I had all these rules for all these colors I wouldn't wear. Mm-hmm. And now I get so mad if I see a design on a shirt I really like, and then I go like, oh, I want that shirt. Like, oh yeah, we only have it in black. I'm like, fuck.
Nope. Not doing that.
At the minimum, I'm like, Heather Gray. Give me a Heather Gray, please.
Yeah, or white.
Please. White's nice.
White's nice.
I throw on a shirt that's nice. I
like to buy. I usually, if I buy white T-shirts, I buy them with the knowledge that in 6 months they're going to be dyed. Cause like I dip dye clothes all the time.
Yeah, you do.
And sometimes I tie dye them or whatever. But like anything that I buy that's white, I understand that like I have a dog, I have a baby, I have an addiction to coffee.
Yeah.
There will be stains.
Yeah.
And so if I buy white shirts, I always make sure that whatever the image or the print is, that I know that if I dye it like mauve or brown, like, cause I'm big into Rit dye. Cause again, like, why buy a new shirt when you can just dye it a new color? That's the way I think about it.
But that's the one thing I keep looking at it too, is like when thinking about nostalgia and conformity and all these different things of like the early 2000s, like really like that period from, I want to say like 99 to like 2006.
Okay.
Because there was like about
That's a wide swath.
It is a wide swath, but in a lot of ways it isn't for like the Limp Bizkit fan. Like that new metal, because this is what a lot of that nostalgia is for.
Yeah.
That new metal look, the baggy pants,
the Jinko jeans are coming back.
The Jinko jeans.
Love that for them.
That's and what's crazy about it though is I see the nostalgia for the Limp Bizkit and new metal side, but I don't see it for what was actually popular at the time, which
Britney
is
Spears.
No, which is there's some for Britney Spears.
Yeah.
But was so much more culturally dominant, which was the hip hop of that time.
Oh yeah.
I'm not seeing as much for DMX. I'm not seeing as much for Nelly,
Moesha,
Ja Rule,
TLC.
Yeah, but I mean, like these groups had like massive outsized
Salt
reach.
and Pepper.
And instead,
In Vogue was such a good one.
Yeah, but as I've said before, and I'll say it again, a big part of this is because the people who were the most online, which is where we have the most media to touch, that has been converted to digital from that time, are the people who were typically white suburbanites.
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of the nostalgia, that's also what we're being fed, too, because of our algorithms. But a lot of the nostalgia I'm being sold in that way, and that's being marketed and then repackaged to all these different groups, is because they were the earliest ones to digitize.
Yeah. But also, I think there's a thing that people are seeing in fashion that is this idea of, like, conformity. Like, I was giggling when we were at the hotel because I went down the elevator to get a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And who got on the elevator with me, but 5 young women, and they were all wearing the exact same outfit. Like, it was slightly different. Like, they all got the items at a different store, but they all were wearing a black turtleneck, light wash jeans that were wide leg, and like Nike Air Forces. And they were all just exact replicas of each other, just in a different, like,
slightly different
font. And I was like, yo, that's so crazy. But like, that's very, like, just like when we were in that vintage store, like the racks, it was a rack of flannel, a rack of crew necks, a rack of t-shirts, and a rack of jeans. So it's like, oh, look at you're being different and edgy. Everybody that would buy an outfit from there would come out looking exactly the same.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that hip hop culture from the 90s and early aughts is not the same.
Yeah.
It was very flamboyant and bright colors and loud and oversized and eccentric, and that's what made it so great.
Yeah.
But you and I have had this conversation. I've had this conversation with Sad Beige as well, is like the beigification of things, making things really boring and monotonous, and taking the color and enthusiasm out of fashion sets a tone. And as we see what's happening with our government, it's like it all plays a part in it.
Well, what I find really, really strange is that I'm seeing that, for the last bunch of years, there was the beige, like Kanye pushing it and Kim Kardashian and a bunch of others.
Their weird beige house.
Well, yeah, and then now if you go to TJ Maxx or if you go to Marshalls or any of these other like stores that are selling old stock, you'll see a lot of that beige stuff has finally trickled all the way down.
Oh my God, the beige rainbow. Do you remember how it was cackling?
I know. That was
it
like
was
a year
a
ago.
wooden rainbow toy.
For babies.
But it was beige.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a rainbow. But
Yeah.
it was just different tones
It was
of
all,
beige
yeah, it was
and
so
brown.
light, yeah.
And I was like, that's the funniest thing. Imagine trying to teach a baby what a rainbow is, but only in shades of brown.
This is pink. I mean, it's more of a mauve.
Red, yellow,
yeah.
orange,
Green.
green.
I was about to sing like Mrs. Rachel. Red, yellow, orange, green. No, but I think the thing that gets me is like I'm seeing more and more conservatism, especially in, I mean, obviously you're seeing in education, but also in the clothing, that the higher end that's going to trickle down. Mm-hmm. But when you look and you see video from inside Mar-a-Lago, when you see video at these like MAGA or Kid Rock, like there's like the MAGA fashion shows and the Kid Rock
tacky.
shit. It's tacky, but it's also like fake flamboyance.
Yeah.
And like very plastic and drop shipped. And what's crazy is like they are allowed to be
opulent
and weird because that's them peacocking for each other.
Yeah.
We and people on the outer edges are being told and shown that we can't peacock for each other, that we can't be flamboyant, that we can't have big headdresses and all this different shit. Meanwhile, you go to Mar-a-Lago and it's just a parade of just these
the ugliest things you've ever fucking seen in your life.
On the fucking most hideous.
Which is why I love wearing bright fucking colors all the time.
You say as you're sitting here in all black.
I know, but that's
you're in
because
all black right now. But I've been the same way. It's like the other reason why I stopped wearing black t-shirts too is I realized like when I was doing a lot more stand up and I was doing open mics, every fucking comedian that got up there would wear a black t-shirt.
Yeah.
Every single one. It was a white guy, especially in like around 2012. Every comedian was a white guy with shaggy hair, a beard, glasses, black t-shirt, jeans.
And like black,
and it was black
t-shirt doesn't even make sense on stage either.
No,
the light absorbs it.
But also, most of the stages were black box theaters, so you just look like a disembodied head and pale arms,
just yelling into the night.
It's what it looked like. And so I've always tried to make sure that when I get on stage, especially, that I have a shirt that is like that has more of a pop, because I want you to, like, as I'm moving, I want you to see my whole body.
Yeah, wiggling,
and just wiggle it around. But when we're talking about the MAGA fashion people, we have a note here that just says Carrie Lake looks like a raisin.
Yeah, I write notes of things that we think we want to talk about, and I was talking about Carrie Lake looking like a raisin.
Yeah,
because she has that crazy filter on all the time.
Well, one of the things is we were talking. The reason why we brought up Carrie Lake is because we were talking about the new format of the show.
Yeah,
and some of the changes that we've made. And one of the big things has been Mr. Third coming in, which a lot of people, Mr. Third, just so you know, a lot of comments on the YouTube and on the Patreon for you saying you did a great job.
Great job.
On the last episode.
Great job.
And one of the things we were talking about is, for me, I'm like, he did a great job. I was going to see a couple wrinkles. And I need a little filter. Is there a gel?
Yeah.
Is there a thing we can do?
Oprah lighting.
You kept yelling.
Soft lighting.
You kept yelling Oprah or Barbara Walters. And I said, I need that Carrie Lake lighting. And then neither of you knew what I was talking about. So I had to pull up a picture. And you guys need to get a chance. Just type in Carrie Lake interview. Yeah. Okay? Google Carrie Lake interview. And then you'll see pictures of her taken in high def at a rally, right? She'll be at a MAGA rally. And you see what she looks like. And then you look at when she's like at home, using her setup the same way. I used the same setup today when I did my interview with News Nation. It's like, this setup. And the thing about Carrie Lake is that she ran for governor of Arizona and for the Senate and lost terribly both times in Arizona.
Deeply unlikable.
Bad
person.
Lady. Awful person. But she was a newscaster. She was a local newscaster in Arizona for a very long time. And her husband was her cameraman. And so her home setup that she's been running since the pandemic has been run by a professional cameraman with professional lighting, with professional filters and smoothing and lenses and all these different things. And I was like, I would like that very much as I age. I was sitting there, and so that's why we have the note, Carrie Lake looks like a raisin.
Well, yeah, because as soon as I saw a picture without the Zoom filters or whatever she's using,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she looks like a testicle. And then you said raisin to be nicer.
Yeah, I know. Well, you went right to ball.
I said
You went right to ball.
Well-
when she's on camera though, when she's on camera from home, she looks like she's what's the with the botulism in the forehead.
All of the people?
No, what's it called? Where they put the botulism in the forehead?
Botox.
Botox. She looks like a Botox testicle.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Just no, like very. It gives what we were saying is the Dorian Gray of it all.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
like the pretty picture, but then when you see the back,
Her
of it, you're
interview,
like, wow.
her interview camera shots are her Dorian Gray,
Yeah.
and then she gets up in front of an actual crowd. And they're like, ah,
Oh,
who let
yeah.
Emperor Palpatine out?
Well-
but like I said, we were saying we've had a lot of changes to the show, and we have a couple changes that we are going to talk about real quick.
Okay.
Before we close out, and one of the things is this show is not going to have shout outs at the end. However, there are still shout outs.
There's definitely still shout outs.
You can still get those
obviously.
shout outs. And for anybody who's joined us, moving forward, we're going to be doing those on the warm up, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast. Why are we doing this? There's a couple of different reasons, but a big one being our new members who are joining us on Patreon. We want you to check out the warm up. You're going to hear some things different. It's paywalled. Maybe there's some things that, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Also,
Right?
also by the end of these episodes, it's been quite a while, and we're a little tired.
Yeah.
And I think we'll just have more spunk.
Yeah, more energy,
Yeah.
more vim and vigor.
Yeah.
So all these things are still going to be there for you. And also, we are bringing back polls to the Patreon.
Yeah. We got a big one coming up, baby.
Yeah, there's a very big poll that's happening right now as you are listening and watching this show.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that Mrs. Pearlmania ordered and received her patio goose.
Patio Goose has arrived.
The front door goose is here. And we need a
needs
name.
a name.
And we posted a picture of it on the Patreon. People have already been pouring in suggesting names. So if you want to add, if you have a name for a patio goose in mind, we would like you to go to our Patreon, pearlmania500.net. If you are a member, you can go down to the picture of me holding the goose, and you can go and you can submit
Put your
a new
suggestion
name.
name in there, and then we're going to put a poll up.
We're going to put a poll up. We're going to pick through our favorite names.
Yeah.
We're going to narrow it down.
There's so many good ones.
There's so many good names. It's going to be.
Oh my, I'm so excited.
We're gonna have a full fight. This will be a 3-person
Yeah.
super delegate vote on who's gonna,
Yeah.
what names are gonna make it to the end, and then we're gonna leave it up to the Patreons. And then there's also gonna be more polls coming when talking about book club and some other small changes there and everything else. I think that's everything. That's kind of everything, and we covered all this on this week's episode of the warm up in much greater detail.
Yeah, and
plus
with a lot of other weird stories
a
that
lot
we
of- yeah.
can't share without a paywall.
Yeah, well, there's that. There is that.
Yeah.
But with that, I want to say thank you to all of our listeners, all of our Patreons, and especially Mr. Third for doing it. Mrs. P, do you have a word? Do you have a sentence? Do you have a phrase that you would like for everyone who's reached the end of the episode?
Have a great week, everybody.
No, not that. They have to type something.
Oh, they have to type something.
We've been doing this now. How many months?
Oh.
It's been like 4 or 5 months. I've turned to you and saying, what's the comment going to be?
Nostalgia.
You just want them to write nostalgia?
I don't know. Well, it's better than
No, I got
California
it.
Raisin.
Okay, don't write California Raisin. I would like you guys go down to the comment section and write something that you're nostalgic for, something you're truly nostalgic for, something that makes you just sit up at night and go, huh, remember that? For me, I'll tell you what I'm nostalgic for. I'm nostalgic literally for just the local mall. Like, that's what I'm nostalgic for. I'm nostalgic for just being able to go walk around the local mall, see people, see open shops, look at stuff I'm never going to buy. Or maybe even just like, just go stop by and get an Orange Julius. And just having a place where it felt like there were other people. Because even right now, when I go to the new fake city type of places that they have, when I pull up directly to the big box store, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
That's what I'm always going to be. At the end of the day, I'm going to be nostalgic for a life of being able to be a mall rat in my black graphic tee, Metallica t-shirt with my oversized Jenko jeans on that are just a little wet around the cuff.
Oh, yeah.
With my chain wallet being chased around by a mall security guard
Bowl haircut.
while I wear a beanie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.